Hello and welcome to the Sisters for Fitness Wellness Show. I'm Stephanie Gaines-Bryant. Our guest today is Zatiti Ema, and she is an author, and she is a vegan educator. The name of her book is Our Journey, Red, Black, Green, and Vegan.
Yes.
Red, black, and green, the power. I remember that from the 70s.
Yes. Who was it? Marcus Garvey, who originally came out with the colors red, black, and green, meaning red for the blood, black for the melanin, and green for the land of Africa. So because I became plant-based, when I was working with a group of people who had that consciousness, I named the book Red, Black, Green, and Vegan.
Okay, so we're talking in a sense about African Americans and veganism. But let's start off by talking about your journey. How did you become vegan?
Okay, so there's many pieces to it. It's almost like a puzzle. My father worked in a slaughterhouse, and I had the unfortunate experience of visiting him, of going to the slaughterhouse and picking him up from work. And he always told me never to come in. And one day I didn't mind those directives, and I went in. And the horror that I saw of the animals 1 second being alive and the next second being killed was quite overwhelming for a 15-year-old or a 16-year-old. I must have been driving, so I had to be probably 16. And I was just overwhelmed, and I talk about this in the book. Also, my father working at a slaughterhouse, sometimes he would get a side of beef and bring it home, and my mother and him would butcher it in the basement. And so those images, too, of seeing my parents covered in blood, standing in blood, you know, it was quite disturbing.
So at what point did you decide that you wanted to become vegan?
Okay, so those were seeds that were planted early on. I didn't actually become a vegan until after I got my master's degree from Michigan State. Hakeem Adabutu, at that time known as Don L. Lee, a former professor and perhaps a graduate of Howard University, he came to speak at my university. And I was so impressed with what he had to say that I decided to move to Chicago and to work with Third World Press and the Institute of Positive Education. And the entire staff, and mind you, this is in the 70s, the entire staff is plant-based. All of these African Americans are plant-based. They're juicing, they're eating raw foods, they're eating just plant-based foods. And I was, you know, pretty shocked. You know, again, probably at this time I'm 25, 26. And we had a ritual where we would run every morning. And then we would go to work at Third World Press or at the Institute of Positive Education. Or if you had an outside job, you'd go to your outside job. But we would always meet in the park and we would run laps together. And many of them lived in the community in different houses, so they lived close together. So the work of activism became a lot easier because we lived as community.
So they were a big influence on you?
Yes, very much so.
So when you decided to become a vegan, how did you get started? I mean, because I know I tried about 30 years ago, and I had no information. I was just doing it from what I thought veganism was supposed to be, and I failed. So what are some of the steps that you take to really start veganism and to be successful at it?
Okay, so I like to tell people, this is my own philosophy, as I've been plant-based for over 30 years. So this is my personal philosophy. I like to tell individuals to first look at what you're consuming in other areas that are detrimental to your health. Are you smoking? Are you drinking? You know, what other things are you doing that's not for your highest good? And begin a process of eliminating them. Now, auricular acupuncture is very good for eliminating addictions. So if you have an addiction, be it alcohol, be it tobacco, whatever, think about getting some auricular acupuncture. That will help you to get rid of that quickly and inexpensively. Okay, so that's one. Then Number 2, I talk about the 5 whites. You need to change your eating pattern so you're not eating the 5 whites.
What are the 5 whites?
The 5 whites, pasta, white pasta. The 5 whites are basically foods that are devitamized. White flour, okay? White flour has nothing in it. You know, you're just eating starch. So you want to eat whole foods. You don't want to eat foods that are highly processed. White rice, not all white rice, but the regular white rice that you see on the shelf, you got to take the extra step. You can get a basmati rice, which is excellent. And then there's other kinds of brown and black rices, wild rice that you can get. You know, in the old days when they used to say, the darker the berry, the sweeter the juice?
Yes.
Okay, it's almost the same thing with all foods. The darker it is, the more nutrients it has. Okay, so if you're going to instead of eating white rice, maybe you're going to eat a quinoa or a quinoa, depending on where you come from. The red one or the dark one has more nutrients than just the beige colored one. Okay, we can talk about milk as being one of the 5 whites, and then we can talk about salt, a regular table salt. Now, what we want to use, now salt is not really a food, number 1. So we should, if we're using it, we should be using it very little. You know, we have to sort of we have to change our taste buds so that we're not desiring all that salt. And a 21-day fast or detox program will change your taste buds.
What's the difference? We hear so many terms when it comes to eating. Are there different types of vegans? What's the difference between a vegan and a vegetarian?
Okay. In my book, I describe all of that, red, black, green, and vegan. Now, after you've gotten rid of the alcohol and the tobacco and any of your drugs that you're on, and you've replaced your 5 whites, now you can take the first step. And the first step, well, actually, there's a step before the first step. Okay, so what I normally do is I have my individuals look at how often a week they're eating flesh. And let's say it's 5 days a week, then I ask you to go down to 4, and then to 3, and then so on and so forth.
So it's a gradual process.
Yes, so that your body has a chance to get used to this. So it's not a shock. You're not creating nutritional trauma. You know, your body's saying, what, for 50 years or 45 years, you've given me this, and now all of a sudden you're just going to take it away?
Now, you mentioned red meat. What about fish? What about poultry?
Okay, let me do the steps first.
Okay.
Okay, so on the bottom step, after you've done that, then on the bottom step we have vegetarianism. Now, vegetarianism is when you are eating fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, and grains, and dairy, and eggs. That is what a vegetarian is. You're still eating the milk products, you're still eating eggs, okay? Now, a step up from that would be a vegan. And at that point, you're letting go of the dairy, you're letting go of the eggs, okay? Mm-hmm. And now, a step up from that, some people would say it would be raw foods. I say you do 50-50. You do 50 vegan, and you do 50 raw foods. And then the next step, if you want to take it, is all raw foods. And if you really want to get deep, then the next step is a liquiditarian. And if you want to go deeper than that, now mind you, your mystical faculties are going to kick in as the higher you go up the ladder. You're going to become more intuitive, your knowing faculty is going to be higher, your intellect is going to be higher. All right, you're just going to be sort of on another plane. Mm-hmm. The ancient Essenes talk about this. Some people say that Jesus the Christ was an ancient Essene, that he ate primarily raw foods. Okay, so above raw foods, some people think raw foods is, like the heaven, but there's a step above it. It's the liquiditarian, where you're juicing all your juices, or you're blending your juice, and you're just drinking liquids all day long. Now, you'll notice that your stomach will decrease, and you just don't desire the heavy bulk that you used to eat. Even from a vegan, you just don't desire that. And definitely you're not going to desire the heavy bulk that you get from eating animals. It's sort of a refinement. And I can go beyond that, but
Okay.
I'll stop
Okay.
there.
Well, in moving forward, why did you dedicate your book, or why is your book dealing with African Americans, red, black, and green? We're dealing with the African American diet.
Okay, Stephanie, one day I was at the service station getting my car fixed. And all these young African Americans who went to the middle school came in for their breakfast. And they were getting chips and Cheetos and candy and sugary drinks. And it hurt my heart. I said, our children don't even know that this stuff on a regular basis is detrimental to them and will lead them to disease and early death and looking old before their time. They don't have a clue. Also, Stephanie, at the time, I had had a head-on car accident, and I was told that I would, you're not going to function anymore. Quit your job, go home, get in the rocking chair, because you are not going to function, not as a college grad anymore. It's over, because the neurological problems were extreme. Okay, so Stephanie, at some point in that journey, I don't remember exactly when it was, but I changed my diet even from a vegan. I went to the next step, to raw foods, and I started to get better. I was shocked.
So for you, veganism has promoted good health.
Yes. And for many of the people that come to me for consultations, if they have a diagnosis, I immediately try to put them on a living food diet, or primarily a living food diet. Why? Because all the nutrients are intact. They're still all there. When we are cooking our food, we're losing nutrients. That's why I say in the steps, vegetarian, vegan, cooked vegan, and raw vegan 50-50.
In a few minutes, we're gonna actually make a smoothie.
Okay.
And let's talk about the benefits of smoothies. Why is it good to have a smoothie, I don't know, in the morning, for your breakfast or whatever time of day? Why is it good to have smoothies?
Okay, it's good for several reasons. One, it keeps our glow on. Your skin will begin to glow. Not just any kind of smoothie. The regular smoothies are okay, but I like the green smoothies for the glow. The element of chlorophyll and the blood are almost nearly the same. I think they're one molecule different. So it is very good for our blood. And when we keep our blood cleaned and pumped, we're going to keep the glow. Secondly, the bowels. The transit time in the bowels becomes very fast, and it shoots out of the system. And it does that anyway with a plant-based diet. With a meat-eating diet, that stuff stays in your system up to 17 hours. Okay, with a plant-based diet, it might be 3, 4, 5, depending on your activity level. It's passing through, it's out, So those are some of the benefits of the green smoothie.
What are some of the things that you can put in a green smoothie? Sometimes people don't know, should you just try? Is it trial and error? Or there are some must-haves in your smoothie?
Again, I explain all this in my book, Red, Black, Green, and Vegan. And I don't like to make smoothies with high glycemic fruits. Some people are putting mangoes and watermelon. I mean, that's okay once or twice a week, but not on a daily basis. Because yes, you're drinking a smoothie, but you don't want to become pre-diabetic by drinking all that high glycemic fruit in the morning. Okay, so I go to apples and berries. Okay, that's my foundation. Apples and berries, that's my fruit. For a beginner like yourself, I brought a little banana, because the banana will hide the flavors of the greens that you're going to put in. And the greens that you're going to put in are only going to be the green leafy. You're not going to put in broccoli.
Like spinach?
Yes. You can put in a little cucumber, but green leafy, that's what you want. So let me tell you this. One day I was sitting in the sun, and the sun was hitting the bush on the side of my house. And it was a little mystical. So it was as if I could feel something. And what I felt was, why are you drinking all those green smoothies? Why don't you just come directly to me? I'm like, come directly to the sun? And so above veganism, there is also Helio Therapy, which is practiced in Europe primarily, where people every day get at least 30 minutes of nude sunbathing. Okay, so we're getting a lot of energy from the plants. But the plants get their energy from who?
The sun.
The sun. So sometime we can go directly to the sun, and the other times we will eat or consume our food. But
And of course, we have to remind everyone there are some dangers with spending too much time in the sun. You got to make sure you protect your skin.
yes, for those who believe that. But I think that also some of the lotions that people are putting on their skin to protect themselves could also be the cause of many diseases that come much later. So you have to, yes, you have to be careful. I think depending on whether or not you have melanin.
Okay, and also just like with everything, there's got to be a balance.
Yes.
And also,
Well, that's why they say 30 minutes. And of course, the best times is early in the morning or late in the evening, not when the sun is, at its high point, above 15 degrees. Early in the morning, late in the evening. Get your sunbathing in.
you also wrote a book dealing with children.
Yes.
In veganism. What was your message with that?
Okay, so that's a little fictional story. It's based on my daughter's own experience. When she went to school, the kids would always ask her, Sheba, what are you eating today? Because they had no idea of the concept that one could survive on plants. And so it's based on, what's in your lunchbox. And Sheba tries to help the kids to understand what they're eating, the GMOs, the non-organic foods, which are sometimes sprayed with up to 53 pesticides.
Wow.
Yes.
Well, what we're going to do is we're going to come back and you're actually going to demonstrate how to make that green smoothie. Not a pink smoothie, not a yellow smoothie, but a green smoothie. We've been talking to Zatiti Ema, and she is the author of Our Journey, Red, Black, Green, and Vegan.
Thank you.
Hello and welcome back to the Sisters for Fitness Wellness Show. I'm Stephanie Gaines-Bryant. Our guest today is Zatiti Ema, and the name of her book is Our Journey, Red, Black, Green, and Vegan. So we're about to do a demonstration. We talked about the benefits of smoothies, of not just smoothies, but green smoothies. And Zatiti is going to demonstrate what a green smoothie should have in it. Go ahead.
Okay, so for our sweetness, we're going to put in some organic apples. They need to be organic because traditional apples or conventional apples are sprayed with up to 53 different pesticides, and we don't want that. For a newbie, I would always use a banana. You can freeze your bananas and then just pop them in your smoothie in the morning. I'm going to actually put 2 in. And I have a cucumber, okay, which is just quite refreshing. Break this up so my blender doesn't have to work so hard. And then my greens, I have arugula. Arugula isn't generally for a newbie, so I'm just gonna go easy on you with that. But baby spinach is for a newbie because it has no taste. And any taste that the chlorophyll has, it's usually masked by the banana. Now you can use water, or in this case, because you were so nice to invite me, I'm going to use coconut water. Okay, so that's a special treat, full of electrolytes. I know you did an event recently.
Yes, I like to run.
Yes, so this is really good for you when you're running.
Because
Okay.
it replaces what you lose when you run.
Exactly. It's full of nutrients.
How do you know how much to put in? Do you put in about a cup of coconut water? Because that looks like about a cup.
I come from a line of people who don't measure.
Okay.
So we just feel.
Just put some of that.
Yeah, we just feel. And then I have some berries, which will increase your energy level. Now, I remember when I started taking Juice Plus, the berry supplement, my energy increased.
Okay.
Because I wasn't buying berries because they just seemed very expensive, the organic ones. And I started taking that and I could see the energy increase. So now I buy frozen berries.
Okay, and so that's what that is, frozen berry blend.
Yes.
Okay.
Can you open this for me?
Oh, sure.
And then I'll go to this.
Okay, and what is that?
Okay, this is protein powder. Your smoothie should always include a non-soy protein powder.
Why?
Because if you're going plant-based, you want to get more and more plant protein in you.
Okay.
So this is about 12 to 15 grams of protein.
Okay.
The average person needs about 25 to 35 a day.
Okay.
Okay, so you're getting half. So I'm going to put that in, and then I'll put some berries in, and we'll blend this up. And this is organic berries. Now, it generally, there's some foods that you do not have to buy organic, and I list them in my book, Red, Black, Green, and Vegan. But berries is a fruit that you'll need to buy organic. Anything that you're eating the skin of, you don't want the pesticides, so you buy it organic. Okay? And this is a high-speed blender. It's called a Vitamix. And we'll see how she's going to do here. I'm going to turn it up a little bit.
Because not every blender is the same.
No. Generally, if you're going to make your smoothie at least 5 days a week, you start out with 3, and then you go to 4, and then you go to 5 days a week. If you can get 6, that's just another plus. Okay, but start out slow and graduate yourself up, and then you just get in the habit. And the kids can make the smoothie as well. Okay. Yes.
Now again, you don't want fruits that contain too much sugar.
No, you want to use fruits that are low glycemic.
Okay.
Now, every once in a while, like in the summer, I'll do a watermelon smoothie just with melons. Melons, you just eat melons together. You don't mix them with other things, okay, because they take, the digestive time is different. So you don't want to mix them up with other things. But, I'm sorry, what was the question?
Yeah, we were talking about, well, we're getting ready to taste.
Okay.
Fruits that have a lot of sugar.
Yes, you don't want to give yourself diabetes by eating too many high glycemic fruits. Okay.
Okay. So you didn't bring 2 glasses.
No, I didn't. I'm going to blend it up a little more in case it's too thick.
Very good.
It's good.
The berries are the key.
You taste the berries.
They are very good.
You don't taste the greens.
A little bit, a little, but it's tolerable.
Do you taste the cucumber?
A little bit, a little bit.
Okay.
But the arugula flavor, like you said, for beginners, I would.
Yes, it's not for beginners. But I will tell you, Stephanie, that when a plant is bitter, you know what it's going to clean out?
No.
The liver. Okay? So as we begin to get older, we don't want a lot of spots on us.
No.
We don't want our liver to be backed up. So it's good for us to have, some bitter greens every once in a while. Like you could do a week of it. Or, 3 days a month, 3 days a week, you say, okay, I'm gonna have my bitter greens. And just keep it running through. Your body is much like the river. I just came back from Cairo, and we were on the Nile a lot, the longest river in the world. And it just keeps flowing. And so should our bloodstream. We shouldn't be filling our body up with things that's going to make the rivers of our blood and our circulation to flow slowly. Okay? We keep the stream flowing. That's why you're running. You're moving.
Keep that blood flowing.
Yes.
Keep that blood flowing. Now, in wrapping up our discussion today, we have just a few minutes left. one of the musts is make sure you have the protein powder
Yes.
in your smoothie. Make sure that you've got the banana if you want to mask that arugula flavor, or if there's an unpleasant green flavor.
Yes,
that
in the
you don't-
beginning, don't even use arugula.
Okay.
Just use baby spinach.
Okay.
And then every week you change the green. If this week I'm using spinach, then next week I could use romaine lettuce.
Okay, and as far as one last question, the calories in this.
Okay, I don't count calories, so I can't really
Okay.
answer that.
Fat content.
Your fat content would be getting a little bit of fat from the protein powder. But again, on a plant-based
It's
diet,
good. Okay.
yeah, on a plant-based diet, you don't have to worry about that so much. The more and more plants you eat, you're not, because a lot of your fat comes from the flesh that you're eating.
Okay.
So as you increase your knowledge base and your recipes, then you won't be getting all that animal fat that's going to clog up your arteries and your internal river.
Okay. Okay. So let's give the name of the book one more time.
Our Journey, Red, Black, Green, and Vegan. And the other one for children is What's in Your Lunchbox?
Yeah. Because I think kids do need to know what's in that lunchbox and what's good for them. Start them young.
That's right.
Start them young. So are you ever too old, last question, ever too old to start a plant-based diet?
No, and in fact, if you have any diagnosis from the doctor, I would start it immediately because the doctors don't take any nutrition classes.
Okay. Okay. So Zatiti Ema.
Yes.
She's an author and a vegan educator, and it's been an absolute pleasure. I'm going to finish this smoothie before I leave here today.
Thank you. I hope you enjoyed it.
You've been watching the Sisters for Fitness Wellness Show. I'm Stephanie Gaines-Bryant. Have a great day.